The Mecklenburg County election debates are a service of WTVI, Mecklenburg County, and the League of Women Voters of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. The views and opinions expressed in these debates are those of the candidates and do not necessarily represent the views of WTVI, its management, Mecklenburg County, or the League of Women Voters.
PBS Charlotte and the League of Women Voters present Election Debate 2016.
Hello, I'm Jason Terzis with PBS Charlotte. Welcome to the 2016 general election debate sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. During the next 15 minutes, you will hear from the two candidates in the NC Court judge race for District 26. NC 26 Judicial District is one of 50 district courts in North Carolina. It has jurisdiction in Mecklenburg County. Questions for today's debate were provided by the League of Women Voters of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. The candidates were not given the questions in advance. I will call on the candidates in random order, and you will have either 30 seconds or 1 minute to respond. If you would like to challenge your opponent, simply raise your yellow challenge card, and you will then have 30 seconds to respond. Each candidate has 3 challenges during this debate, and you will be allowed to make a 30-second closing statement. Now, let's meet the two candidates for NC District Court Judge for District 26. We have with us today Tracy H. Hewett and Miss Aretha Blake. Ladies, thank you so much for coming today. All right, first question. What is your experience in the areas of criminal law, family law, complex civil litigation? And you'll have 60 seconds to answer this one. Ms. Blake, we will begin with you.
Thank you, Jason. Good morning. My name is Aretha Blake, and I am running for Mecklenburg County District Court Judge. I've practiced law here in Charlotte for 14 years in a broad variety of cases, in cases from complex litigation, family law, business law, representing landlord tenants. For 14 years, I practiced here. For 6.5 of those years, I was at Parker Poe, Adams & Bernstein, practicing in state and federal court in North and South Carolina in complex commercial litigation matters. I've also argued before the North Carolina Court of Appeals and have represented many clients in that jurisdiction. Family law-wise, I've represented clients in equitable distribution, divorce, child support, and child custody matters. I have extensive experience and am prepared to hit the ground running as your next district court judge.
Ms. Hewett, 60 seconds.
And thank you very much. I am a 12-year public defender, so I have a lot of criminal law experience, trials, motions. I'm now a supervising attorney, and I still have clients of my own. In the family law area, I was a guardian ad litem, which is the voice of the child in court, where I assisted children who were the targets of custody battles or faced being removed from their family's home. I did an internship at the Juvenile Law Center, so I'm well versed in juvenile law also. And in terms of business litigation, while I wasn't involved in business litigation, I worked for 21 years at the Charlotte Observer in advertising. And I went from being a tear sheet clerk and ending my career with a $5 million account list. So I'm very familiar with businesses. Many of my clients were mom and pop businesses until I got to that higher level.
Next question. What forms of voluntary, professional, and community services have you been involved with in the past and are currently involved with? 30 seconds for this one. Ms. Hewett, we'll begin with you.
And thank you. I mean, this stretches way back. One of my first volunteer activities was with the Junior Achievement Organization. And what I did specifically for them was where across from Harris Teeter, that used to be a school there on the plaza, and it was for pregnant teenagers. I went into that school once a week and taught a class basically on, I don't know, how to balance a checkbook. Not that everybody has to do that anymore, but that was one of my first entrees into public service. I do a lot more, but I don't have time to tell you.
All right, Ms. Blake, 30 seconds.
Thank you. I'm a committed public servant. I've been in Charlotte for 14 years, as I mentioned. For the last 13 years, I volunteered continuously and extensively with the YMCA of Greater Charlotte. Children are my passion, and so I volunteered there to make sure they had safe places to go and after school, free summer camp, so they're not getting in trouble on the streets, but really can focus on their schoolwork and building themselves as leaders. As a member of the Mecklenburg Bar Foundation, I've served the Bar Foundation now for about 8 years, having now served and gone through most of the executive roles, and I'm currently president of that foundation.
Next question. Oh, we have a challenge.
Well, not so much a challenge, but I was told I could use this to add on. So, yes, what I've been doing of late is Lunch with a Lawyer program through the Mecklenburg County Bar, and I've done that for 6 years. So during the school session, we visit varying schools and have lunch with an 8th grader every month. That's one of the things that I've been doing. In my profession, this is the 4th year that I've been treasurer of the over 5,000 member Mecklenburg County Bar.
Okay.
I love to talk about community and service to this community. So for the next 30 seconds, I want to talk a little bit more about my bar experience. In 2005, I was a member of the Board of Directors of the Mecklenburg County Bar, and I also served for 8 years continuously on the Special Committee on Diversity to make sure that this bar and this community focused on diversity in the profession and built programs such as the Lunch with a Lawyer program to make sure that our bar was committed and invested in building the next generation of legal leaders. I was on the Board of Directors of the Council for Children's Rights, and for 2 years voluntarily provided pro bono services to children facing suspension and expulsion from the school district.
The judicial system is currently addressing implicit bias in the juvenile justice system. What practices or policies or procedures are needed to address this issue throughout the court system? 60 seconds for this one. Ms. Blake, we'll begin with you.
Thank you. Implicit bias and bias in general is a serious issue in our court system. The roles of the court is to be unfair, unbiased, and that is what I am committed to as your next district court judge. Implicit bias, I am very glad that the Race Matters for Juvenile Justice initiative under the leadership of our clerk of court, Elisa Chingari, and one of our lead judges, Lou Trosh, has really grown in this community. And they are focused on providing training to the court staff and other members of the community that interact with the courts around implicit bias and that unconscious bias that impacts how members of the community are treated and how their judgments are rendered in the court system with respect to them. I continue to believe that individual training that lasts more than just 2 days, which is a great beginning, but is long-term, is needed to make sure that we invest the time to address implicit bias on the individual level as well as on the systems level. I also believe there are great organizations like the Community Building Initiative through its LDI program, which I'm a graduate of, that really do impact bias and growing people's perspective when it comes to interactions.
Ms. Hewett.
And thank you very much. Yes, as a public defender, I'm in court all day, every day, and I see implicit and explicit bias. I'm very attuned to it, and it will be something that will constantly be checked by me as I sit in court. It's something that I work on constantly and is always at the forefront of my mind. I did take the 2-day Race Matters for Juvenile Justice, and it is a good start. I'm fortunate to have a family who was kind of ahead of their time. I was 19 years old. I got a speeding ticket. I went home and I told my mom, wow, the cop let me off. And she said, I wonder if that would have happened if you were black. So I grew up with a sensitivity of equality and equitable decision-making, and that's what I'll bring to the bench.
All right, next question. District court judges in Mecklenburg County handle an average of 1,000 cases a day, according to the court administrator. Have the recent budget cuts impacted your ability to administer justice? 30 seconds for this one. Ms. Hewett.
And thank you very much. Again, as a public defender, these numbers don't shock me at all. We work very, very hard, and we work very, very well. What has happened is that the legislature some time ago reduced the many charges to infractions, and that was a nice thing. However, because they're infractions, they took away that client's ability to get an appointed attorney. So there are lots and lots of people, not only in the criminal area, but in the family area, that are now representing themselves pro se.
Okay, Ms. Blake.
Recent budget cuts have a huge impact on our ability to administer justice in our county. The reality is there are lots of legal needs, and legal needs are growing within our community. And the budget cuts impact the staffing of the courthouse and the ability for us to administer cases efficiently through the system, number one, but also to really address the issues with the growing number of pro se litigants that are coming before the court, particularly in the civil area. Family court and civil litigation are growing. As needs grow and our community is unable or less able to afford legal representation, we must have resources in place to help those citizens.
North Carolina is the only state that sets the age of adulthood in criminal court at 16. Should the age be raised to 18? What impact would that have on administering juvenile justice? 30 seconds for this one, Ms. Blake.
I do believe that the age should be raised to 18 here in North Carolina. I think North Carolina, as the last state at 16, really is behind when it comes to juvenile justice in the nation. I do recognize, however, that in changing the age, which a lot of lawyers are advocating, including the Supreme Court Commission, the Chief Justice Commission on the Administration of Justice, we have to recognize that resources will be needed to make that process work. If we have more kids in juvenile court, we may need more juvenile judges. We may need more clerks. We need to have budget for that.
Ms. Hewett.
And thank you very much. Obviously, in working both with juveniles in the juvenile justice system and with adults, well, 16, 17-year-olds by any other measure are not termed adults. And we have this hypocrisy, if you will, in court where, let's say a 16-year-old is in jail and the judge says, well, I want your parent to sign you out. Why? North Carolina's considering me an adult. It's a double standard. It needs to change.
What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice? 30 seconds.
I think the greatest obstacles are access to justice. As I said, some of these situations where people are not allowed an appointed attorney. So when we say, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you, that's not always the case, and that has dire direct and collateral consequences. If people can't, and that's in the criminal side, the family side, there's really no such thing as the public defender for a family case. So you've got families with big problems that cannot afford an attorney, and it's just not fair.
Ms. Blake.
Thank you. On the civil side, I do believe that one of the biggest barriers to access really is the fact that you're not entitled to counsel. You must be able to afford counsel. And in the community, the legal system has a mystique about it. And one of the challenges is being able to provide the education in the community necessary to demystify our court system, to make it more understandable for the everyday citizen who sometimes has to come to court as a tenant representing themselves against the landlord, as a mother seeking child support, as a father seeking visitation. And sometimes coming into the courtroom is intimidating, and education will help that.
Should the court system provide a place where the public can easily access searchable case results and sentencing decisions? 30 seconds for this one.
I think the answer to that is yes. To me, anything that opens up the court system and makes it more understandable to the community and empowers the community to get the answers that they need, we should provide resources and have investment for that. However, it is tied to the budget for the judiciary system, and we need to make sure that as we provide those resources, there is backing to make sure there is budget for it.
Ms. Hewett.
Absolutely, I agree. The more transparent our entire justice system is, the better it is for individuals, for families, and for the community. If we have a system where people can come in as they can for the civil side and look up a case and what the disposition is, then they can make their own judgments about that. But I think it's very important to open up the doors of the courthouse, literally and figuratively.
All right, time now for closing statements. Ms. Hewett, we'll begin with you.
Thank you. Mecklenburg County residents deserve a district court judge with district court experience, and that's what I have. 12 years of trials, motions, supervising attorneys. I've been not only in district court, but also superior court. Prior to that, I did volunteer work as a guardian ad litem. I was a mediator and worked with the Council for Children's Rights. All of those are in district court. But that's not all that I've done with my life. I had 21 years at the Charlotte Observer in business. I'm ready to serve, I'm trial tested, and I ask for your support.
Ms. Blake.
Thank you. My name is Aretha Blake, and I'm asking for your vote for Mecklenburg County District Court Judge. I believe that judges should be leaders in the courtroom as well as in the community, and I am prepared and equipped to do both. I have 12 years of broad legal experience, ranging from civil litigation to family law, representing landlord-tenants, and representing children. I am prepared to hit the ground running in almost any district court that we have in the courtroom. I also am a leader in this community. I'm committed to children and bringing partnerships together that will advance the administration of justice with fairness, integrity, and respect. My name is Aretha Blake. Thank you.
All right, our thanks to Tracy Hewett and Aretha Blake, who are running in the NC District Court Judge race for District 26. For information about the League of Women Voters of Charlotte-Mecklenburg, you can check out their website at goleaguego.org. And for more information on the candidates, go to vote411.org. A reminder for Mecklenburg County voters, early voting begins on Thursday, October 20th. The general election is Tuesday, November 8th. Election day polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. I'm Jason Terzis. Thank you for watching PBS Charlotte.